Ready. And action. There'll be no foolish wand waving or silly incantations in this class. As such, I do not expect many of you to recognize from where I dropped this literary quote. Welcome, anyway. This is Professor Victor Singingeagle's class, Native Literature here at Sisseton Wahpeton University. And today is our first day, and I'm supposed to be walking you guys through the syllabus. I hope I posted it. Let's find out. First things first, what we got to do is we got to go to our campus website. Our college here is our main website. I'm going to pull it up and walk you through it. Are you ready? So here we go. Sisseton Wahpeton, swcollege.edu. Here's our main page. You're going to hover over here and you're going to see eLearning login. Click on it. And if you've been using this already, you know what to do. You go over here where it says login on the upper right corner. Ta-da! And this one remembers me, and it remembers my password. I bet you it's going to tell me my password is wrong. Let's try it. Remember username and log in. Put in your login credentials. It worked! Hallelujah! And you know what? I'm already messing this up. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn the lights down because I'm creating a tremendous glare, which isn't good. Need you guys to see what I'm doing. Hold on. That's too dark. That's better. All right. So back to the subject at hand. We have gone into e-learning. And I'm going to walk you through this quickly because I know a lot of you guys already know how to do this. But you never know. We got new people all the time. We're going to go to My Courses, and this class is DKT 210. Hohana washte. Welcome aboard. You're going to click on that. It's going to load up. It's going to say, Welcome, Fall 2026. And here is all the information. Yadda-yadda-yadda. That's how you say it. Yadda-yadda-yadda. I can never pronounce it right because I bit my tongue and was eating a lot of hot sauce and really burned up my... Never mind, I'm talking too much. Let's look at what we are supposed to be talking about and doing. Your first task in this online class is to download our orientation packet. As soon as possible, fill it out. Fill out the student information sheet. So we're going to scroll down. It says, Welcome to the class, blah, blah, blah. We'll be looking at oral tradition and contemporary, all the way from old stuff all the way up to contemporary works, native literature. I'm going to change this to native texts and get rid of American because I'm also Canadian, and we need to know more about American and Canadian and some other literatures of First Nations, which is what I talk about here. Anyway, just have a look at this stuff at your leisure, please. I do apologize for starting late. There's a couple reasons why. Reason number one is because I was expecting more students to sign up. Last semester I had 15. This semester I only got 4, which is kind of scary. And I'm going to go through them in a second. So we're going to go to, let's see, announcements. Here's our books. We've got Read, Listen, Tell, and Why Indigenous Literatures Matter. See? Got mine all bookmarked and crazy because I'm a notorious bookworm. And that's a good thing to have in a class like this. That is, I will be harassing you guys with a whole lot of stuff. So we're going to skip down to where it says orientation. See, I told you I bit my tongue. Orientation Packet Fall 2026. We're going to click on this. If you've had my class before, I don't know if it's one or two of you who have, and you kind of drop the ball on it. You already know this stuff, but this is an updated one, so don't rely on the previous one. Now, what I like to do is I like to right-click on this and open in a new window. I just want to open it. Don't want to save it right now because there we go. So here is our syllabus. This tells you what's going on, when the final exams are, how I do the grading, which is 25, 25, 25, 25, where my office is. I say TV room, TV, or the first floor, main hall, TV room number 4, which is right across from Professor Nakanishi and Professor Duhuawei, Harvey Dumars. By the way, I give everybody Chinese names. We'll talk about that later. You've got my office number, extension 1255, and my cell, but I do not, the phone doesn't work very well. It's an old iPhone 7, and I text like a teenager, which is why I put on here, no calls, please. If you got messages, send me a text. And then you've got my email, our credit hours, and what are the prerequisites and all that fun stuff. It's all self-explanatory, so I don't want to overdo this. We've got our grading system, 25, 25, 25. By the way, why is that open? Go away. By the way, if you go to eLearning and check the grades, you're bound to be upset and disappointed. Why? It's because the computers always screw up. If you want to know your grades, send me a text and I'll tell you. I'm going to be keeping a good old-fashioned grade book. Not online, because the computers always screw it up. So let's get back to the syllabus. Man, I'm just tripping over my tongue like crazy today. We're going to pull this back up here. All right, so we got 25 to it. So what does this mean? Attendance, e-learning, work, all the stuff you post on e-learning. I'm going to walk you through it in a second. We got 4 pop quizzes, a midterm, and a final. And our final exam date is Tuesday, November 24th, 2026. Turn it in by 17:30. For you non-military, non-veterans types, that's 5:30 p.m. We have not yet decided what we're going to do for the midterm, so there's going to be a vote where it says, I can never pronounce it, it's a Dakota language, Detu Kahniga. Vote here. You're going to click on that and you can vote on how you want your final exam and your midterm exam to be. But let's get back to this, shall we? So, quizzes, our midterm, our final exam, everything's all in quarters because it's easy. Math, I'm not very good at it. That would be Professor Lee. By the way, I put on here, if you do not obtain these textbooks, you will probably flunk this class. Actually, I put on here, you will flunk this class, period. We'll talk about that. Here's some recommended textbooks. Drew Lopenzina, Rutledge, Introduction to Native American Literature. And Norma Wilson, my old professor at University of South Dakota. The Nature of Native American Poetry. And then we've got our course goals. Well, what are they? Well, we want to exhibit. I'm not going to walk you through this. Understand, analyze, identify, synthesize, explain, and apply. The main thing I want you guys to take away from this is that this is a literature class, which means, well, what does it mean? It means you're not going, unless you're an English major, you shouldn't really expect to be majoring in English, but expect to make any money as an English major unless you travel overseas. So just have an idea how to read and appreciate and enjoy literature and to maybe apply, bring to bear disciplinary knowledge specific to the humanities, including textual analysis and close reading, blah, 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 blah. I know this is one of those classes that you're required to take, so my job as your intrepid instructor shall be to try to make it more appreciable to you. Some of you guys are majoring in nursing, some are business, some are psychology. How can you take this stuff from native literature and squish it into something that has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with your own major? We'll get into it later, not now. We got our equal opportunity statement. We've got our Americans with Disabilities statement, our college email policy. By the way, I am forced to use our SW college email. I cannot send things to you at yahoo.com or Gmail or whatever. It's got to go through our school email. So make sure your school email is working. Our drug-free environment, sexual sekuhara policy, legal gobbledygook. This one is important for us. This course and the syllabus is a contract. You know the teachers always say this, so, bear with me. It is a contract between students and professor, meaning that by remaining in the class, you agree to follow the certain silly rules that your teachers all dump on you. All student submissions become the property of the college, blah, blah, blah. Say, for example, a student or a professor sees something that you have written that's so brilliant, the professor's going to give you, kudos, credit, and say, hey, look what one of my students so-and-so has written. Or if you don't want your name put out there, just say, one of my anonymous students has written, and maybe they'll put it in a publication. I might do the same thing. And it says, you may not sue us if we do that. Then we got our welcome aboard, Native Lit. I'm going to get rid of the American part and just call it Native Literature. What constitutes literature? For example, I put on here a few years ago when I was teaching at the University of South Dakota as a glorified TA. One of my students got all bent out of shape because she said, this is supposed to be a Native American literature class. And so we had to go to what we military types call a captain's mast. That's where we go before the department head or the dean. And she was complaining. It was a Karen. Got a frog in my throat. Yeah. One of those Karen students who wants to get a teacher in trouble and fired or whatever, reprimanded. And we opened up the books, and sure enough, the books said Native literature, not Native American. So I was in the right. So again, that's what all this was really saying is, don't get all bent out of shape if I include stuff from Canada, stuff from Mexico. Once in a while, even there's like 12 Taiwanese, 16 actually now, Taiwanese Aboriginal tribes. I'm supposed to actually interview one of my old buddies from Taiwan. He is from the Amezu. How do you say Amezu? Ame tribe. Sometimes I have to translate stuff. We're going to look at how literary criticism works. Usually in these literature classes, teachers torture their students with this and they make it way more complicated than it has to be. Other considerations, point of view, blah, 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 blah. All right, I'm already showing off my ADHD, as you can tell. That's why I put on here, if you're more comfortable with traditional way, everybody else does it, well, you might have to get another class. Also keep in mind that I am laid back. I will try my best to accommodate you if you have any kind of learning disabilities or time troubles, but don't abuse it if you know who you are. Also, I added this section about AI usage. Yes, we all know AI is the wave of the future. And what students have been doing, to me in particular, and it's driving me crazy, is they'll go to AI, Chat GPT, or whatever. There's some other ones on your phones, too. I forgot what the app is called. I don't know. Never mind. And I'll ask a question, and the student will plug in the question into AI, and it'll spit out an answer, and it drives me bonkers. Teachers are really getting into this right now. They're all going bonkers because students are doing this. But the way I look at it is, if you're going to use AI, tell me you're using AI and tell me why. I'll put on here, yes, teachers are losing their minds. It says, everybody say, oh, the students are cheating on their papers and their essays and blah, 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 blah. I put on here, be more straightforward about it, just like in math class. Show your work. Explain. I took this question so seriously that I consulted whatever. And here's the gist of our conversation. Cut and paste the whole conversation into the essay exam or essay question or even the forum discussions to say what's going on. And it shows your thought process. And a lot of teachers, especially me, if you be forthcoming about it and tell me what you're doing, you get more credit. The difference between an A and an F. The A says, hey, check it out. I use this, and here's our conversation. The F is just cutting only the answer out and sticking it into the answer box. And then we got extra credit assignment policy, blah, 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 blah. This is in case you ever have to do a paper. I don't like doing papers in our class, but maybe if you want some extra credit assignment or something, here's pretty much a typical MLA format. In our class, I like to use a title page so that way I don't mix up assignments. We got a midterm, which is Thursday, October 8th, 2026 at 17:30. Again, that's 5:30 p.m. For you non-military, non-veteran types. A reminder, our final is Tuesday, November 24th. That's like right before Thanksgiving, isn't it? This one I got into trouble because I haven't been enforcing hard deadlines like I used to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to program eLearning to close certain assignments after they are due. I'll give you like a week or 2 weeks to get them done. And if you don't have them done by then, you're SOL. We talked about this. Already talked about grades. Academic honesty. I already talked about that as well. The other one, I love to say this. I'm going to say it again over and over, especially in native literature class. 2 things. Number 1, academic laziness whatsoever will result in severe consequences. And then the other one, of course, right answers. Do not expect your professor to spoon feed you information to spit up again on some rote memorization test. If you think you're a robot who just sits passively waiting for your programmer to input data, you're in for a rude awakening. This is especially true in the humanities, where any professor worth the $4.50 of chemical elements in his or her body will also expect you to keep up with the readings, demonstrate your ability to think for yourself, participate in roundtable discussions, in our case it's going to be forum discussions, and contribute to larger bodies of knowledge. Let me talk about grading for a second, because this is related to grading and this whole idea. My hobby horse, one of my many hobby horses in these literature classes, is that if you want a C in this class, all you got to do is just memorize and spit up, regurgitate crap that your professor tells you. If you want a B in this class, memorize a bunch of stuff the teacher tells you, and then give me your opinion. If you want an A, you've got to memorize the stuff, whatever your teacher tells you, give me your opinion, and back up your opinion with what other scholars have been saying. And you can just go online and look them up if you're lazy, or go to the library if you're really feeling and get like, I believe that the reason why there is a rabbit in the moon in a lot of native stories is because of ancient China, and there's a connection between ancient China and the pre-contact Americas. And Professor Singingeagle mentioned this as well. He made references to it, and I agree. And here's some other scholars who say the same thing. Now, that's just an example, of course. Here's our tentative schedule. I'm already late. Again, I apologize for that, but here's some things I'm hoping you guys will read. Read the preface to Why Indigenous Literatures Matter, and the preface or introductions to Read, Listen, Tell. Get them done as quickly as possible, because we got to get busy on how do we learn to be human this week. And then, what else? Oh, here is what I call a student info sheet. It's also posted separately where it says Native Lit Student Info Sheet Fall 2026. But if you don't feel like messing with that, you just want to deal with one, you got to print this last page out. And you got to fill it out. You can either dump it on me at my office or put it in my box in the main front office, or email it to me if you're total online student. And if you've had this class before, I still need you to create a new one, okay? Name, major, sex, female, date of birth, blah, 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 male, female, yada, yada, yada. And I put on here because I got in trouble when I was teaching from another Karen. This was in Oregon, Oregon State University. And something about privacy or whatever, like, so I just put on here, if you don't want me to know if you're a male or a female, or what your date of birth is, or your home phone, or your cell, or your email or snail mail, don't fill this box out. I'm going to know anyway. But whatever. I don't understand why the Karens were on the rampage at that time, because I could just look the stuff up on the college computer. Never mind. Let's keep going. Tell me your strengths and weaknesses. What are some of the, as a reader and an artist, things you want to work on, things you don't want to work on, and maybe how you ended up in the class. Here is our, I hate it when it does that, college course prospectus contract, blah, blah, blah. It just says, I promise I'm not going to be a Karen in Singingeagle's class. I'm not going to be too lazy. I recognize I'm just going to have to go back here because this thing is driving me nuts. Can't use the touch screen. There we go. I'm not going to be a Karen. I'm not going to make a bunch of stupid excuses of why I couldn't turn stuff in. Yes, I know this is an online course, but still, I got to make sure that I follow and keep up with the class. It's my responsibility, yada, yada, yada. And I promise that if I screw up, I'm not going to blame everybody else and try to get the teacher in trouble. Sign it and date it and get it to me quick. By the way, I cannot give you a grade until you turn in a student info sheet. Do you know what I mean? All right, let's do it again. I'm going to open it in a new window, and I'm going to open it. Student info sheet should be the same thing. Yes, it is. There we go. Ta-da! So that's what it is. All right. Now, let us, my fingers are clumsy today. Let's get rid of that. We're going to go back to the dashboard this class, and I've already spoken for probably 20 minutes, and I hope this actually works. So, if you scroll down, you will see that there's some stuff from 2025. way down here, 2026, I should say, spring semester 2026. Wow, I was fat back then. I think I lost 10 pounds. This is all the old stuff. If it says spring 2026, disregard it. What we need, and I'll put a stop sign which says, and this stop sign will be moved as we go along, because all this stuff, it goes on and on, all these discussions and all these videos, it goes on and on and on. And this is all from last semester, right? So I put a stop sign, actually 2 of them, and I tell students, do not go beyond this point. But I've got to update all of this other stuff, discussion. What makes a good story? Where it says, please reply, that is required. You've got to post your discussion. I've got to get rid of all these old discussions. I thought I did this already. But here's from last semester. And the students will write what they think, and I will respond to you. Let's click on one to show you what I'm talking about. So the students say, here's where a good story for me is transport me to another. So this is old stuff. And then I reply, and then the student this guy, he replied back, that's awesome. I'm not going to name names because you can already see it, and I'm already giving away too much. Again, if it says, please reply, that is an assignment. Got it? If it says extra credit, where's the extra credit ones? There. Because I'll probably ask you, what's your Chinese zodiac? By the way, I am a wood snake. Professor Lee is a fire snake. That means she burns me up a lot. And there's even a little video that explains, and then you can tell me what your zodiac. That's an extra credit one. Again, this is from last spring. I'm going to update these. I'm going to change things a little bit, and it will say fall 2026. As soon as you see that opens up to fall 2026, whatever it is, that means it's fair game to jump on, especially if it's above my stop signs, which I previously highlighted. Other things I need to tell you. Oh, yes, quizzes. The old quizzes, if you've had my class before, what I have is students might try to jump below or the stop signs, and they'll jump over to a pop quiz. I think I made them invisible to students now. But if you see a pop quiz and it says spring 2026, don't do it. Because chances are that pop quiz is too old. You know what I mean? Jelly bean? All right, that's enough of that. Anything else I need to tell you? I know I need to go through my roster. How are we doing on time? 30 freaking minutes. Man, I talk too much. I bet you this microphone doesn't even work. I had one of those little bitty lapel microphones, and I think I lost it when I was in China. But never mind, let's focus. Who do we have in class? Monica Bernard, whose Chinese name is Bei Meng Lei. That sounds beautiful. McKinley Searle, Xue Man Ling. Leonora Hogue, Hao Xing Ling. And Reina Samaniego, Zhang Rui An. That's everybody. I only got 4 kids this semester. I hope I get some more, because this is actually my fun class, if you know what I mean. Now, those of you who do not know who this old man is, Singingeagle, what can I tell you? Quickly. I'm going to pull up a map. I'm going to use Google. The best thing I can tell you is I am a runaway Potawatomi belonging to the Crane clan. Potawatomi. We Potawatomi. Google Maps. Google. Googler. M-A-P-S. There we go. Google Maps. Gimme. I'm still annoyed with Google Maps. I'll show you why in a second if I can get it to load. So here we are in Agency Village, and we're going to scroll out, and it still says, never mind, I'm not going to get into politics, but there's a certain orange politician who just grinds my gears, and I'm not going to get into it. Our people originally we were part of the three-tribe alliance, the Ojibwe or Chippewa, the oldest brother, the middle brother was Ottawa, and the youngest brother was Potawatomi. And these three brothers, their families got big, and they all lived here where I put the arrow. And as their families got bigger and bigger and resources, they're competing for resources kind of, sort of, and they're like, we need to kind of split up and spread our people out. So the Chippewa went this way, some up there and some down this way. The Ottawas kind of went down this way somewheres, and the Potawatomi kind of moved down to central Michigan. And of course, I'm Crane Clan, Runaway Band. I'm going to do this quickly without overdoing it too much. Because, we who teach native literature, we got stories up the wazoo. And I don't want to torture you too much. But our people were sent down once the newcomers came along, the colonizers, the French, and then the British, and all the Spaniards, and everybody all coming. They want a piece of our land. And we kept moving. We ended up in Indiana for a while, then Illinois. Some of the time we went up here, then we went over this way. But one of the old stories that they used to say is we were frenemies. This is before the newcomers came along. We were frenemies with the Dakota people. What do I mean? Well, by day we would trade with the Dakota people, which is why a lot of our art and our old clothing styles and our dances and our songs and some of the language is similar. But by night, we would steal each other's horses and women. Never mind. Okay, so that's what I mean by frenemy. So we were aware of the Dakota people. I believe the Dakotas call us Putewatadang or something like that. But Potawatomi! The Potawatomi, when the newcomers came along, we got moved down here, then moved over here to Iowa, then down to Missouri, and then Kansas, and then to Oklahoma. And why are we called the Runaway Band? It's because my direct ancestors split into two. One group moved up back into Canada, a place called Walpole Island. I bet I can't. I think Walpole Island's like right over here across from Detroit. Another band moved way up in the northern, or up some dotted areas around the lake here. And another band moved down to Monterrey, Mexico, a special place called Nuevo León, actually, and another place called Piedras Negras and El Nacimiento. This is all south of the border. And another group of the runaways moved to Kansas City. Kansas City, everyone, they got some crazy little women there, and I'm gonna get me one. And they got jobs on the railroad, and they pretended to be any other race they could possibly think of. Some passed for black, some passed for Cuban and Mexican and Puerto Rico, whatever they can get away with. They passed. P-A-S-S-E-D. That is an old, I don't know, you can't even say it predates Jim Crow era, this idea of pretending to be a member of another race. And they got jobs on the railroad, and the rail line went from Kansas City down to San Bernardino, Los Angeles area, California, and through Denver and all that. And I'm talking too much. I'm trying to hurry up and tell this story quickly. And some of them befriended some ex-slaves who founded a village in Kansas. I think the town was called, not Hayes, I don't remember the name of the town right now, and I'm starting to talk too much. Anyway, there was a band of ex-slaves. This is right after the Civil War, and all the slaves moved from the South, or not all of them, but a bunch of them did. The South is tainted with the blood of slave people. So they moved to Kansas, and they started their own town, Nicodemus, Kansas. That's what it's called. And they didn't know anything about the winters up there because, they'd all lived in the South where it's hot. And they moved up here in Kansas and they got their first taste of cold. And some roving band of runaway Potawatomis were wandering around, and they run into these black people who are shivering in the cold, and they're just snowed in and miserable. So the natives, the runaway Potawatomi, joined with the black people, taught them how to survive northern winters. And a bunch of us, black people and natives, we moved to L.A., get back on the railroad, moved to L.A., a place called San Bernardino, which is out here in the desert. And I could tell you stories, but I'm already overdoing it. What else you need to know about me? You already know I got a PhD in English at the University of South Dakota in Vermilion. Ta-da! And another PhD in Relation. How do you say that in English? Anthropology. Down here at Norman, Oklahoma, the University of Oklahoma, which is a nightmare, and I'm not going to talk about that right now because I'm already gone for like 36 minutes. So I'm going to knock it off there, 36 minutes and 7 seconds. Thank you so much for being so patient with me, and I hope you have an awesome rest of the semester. Keep your eyes peeled on eLearning for updates as we go along. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.